Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing a recap of our Week 5 win, Thursday Night Football against the Washington Commanders. So, I'm going to tell you right now, I need to rewatch this to get more into the finer details. I missed the first drive. I caught the touchdown, not the entire first drive. I missed like a little bit of it. And I was watching it kind of here and there. I mean, I was watching it, but I was doing other stuff. I honestly, 100% honest, came into this thinking that it was going to be one way, and that's why I didn't even do the preview, because at the end of the day, I only felt one thing, and this is a perfect example for everybody to why you just don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like everybody's like, it's been forever. It's Nagy. No, it's Pace. No, it's Justin Fields. No, it's Gatsby. No, it's Eberflus. No, it's both. No, it's Pace, or not Pace. It's Poles. It's Justin Fields. Like, it's the O-line. Like, everybody does that, and I've always told you it's a mixture of things. So, for me, I looked at this game like, hey, this is Chase Young, Daron Payne, Jared Allen, and Montez Sweat. Probably top 3 D-line in the league. And that might be my bias. I loved every last one of those guys coming out. And they have been a great team. Obviously, Chase hasn't been healthy, but Chase has been eating this year. And I did, at least I could say, I watched the Commanders-Eagles game. And their D-line got way more active versus the best O-line in the game. And their offensive line held up against one of the best D-lines in the game. Tonight was complete. This is one of those games, as they say any given Sunday, is one of those games where it completely did not match up to what you see. And as I always say, I'm about to give y'all some that's terrible. I'm about to give y'all some boring analysis because people going to hate me. They're going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but it's true. Tonight was about a few things, and we'll go over it. Number one, who you play matters, as I've always said. And then after that, it's about who gets pressure on the quarterback. And it's boring. It's, people are going to want to talk about all types of stuff with Gatsby. It'll be interesting because, as I said before, and from what I've seen, I see Twitter, I see a couple things, but I'm not everywhere. But from what I've seen, especially national media, that ain't even close. I'm the only one that's been like, Gatsby and Eberflus probably know how to coach. Like, I think y'all being a little over dramatic. And so it's been everything. They don't know football. They don't know how to coach. Everything from people who don't even do this job. But I'm like, okay, what are they going to say now? Because I was wrong about tonight. So that means a lot of people were definitely wrong because we've been hearing, lose tonight, fire them, Caleb Wood. We've been hearing everything. And so after this, I wonder what they're going to say. But for me, this game boils down to my own analysis going into the game was just, it was incomplete. As I said in the community, I thought about the D-line, especially for what teams have been able to do to us with lesser D-lines, in my opinion. And so to see, even though I put big money on Chase Young getting a sack, I try to tell y'all, it was only half a sack. And that's what he ended up getting, which is crazy. He had a few chances, but he only got half a sack. And I put big money on Jared Allen getting a sack. Not Jared Allen, Jonathan Allen getting a sack. And he ended up, or half a sack, and he got a full sack too. So anyway, but no, they were not at all what they need to be. And from a just pure D-line perspective, I don't understand why they play bully ball. Chase Young, freak athlete. Montez Sweat, 4.3 40. Payne and Allen, great athletes. None of them have to play bully ball, and we've seen them have the ability to do whatever they want, whether it's power, whether it's speed to power, whether it's pure speed. I just felt like tonight they just straight up played bully ball a lot of times, and they kept diving inside when you got Justin Fields, who is a superior scrambler. So it was just bad play by their D-line tonight, and that led to the offensive explosion because their linebackers are okay, and their secondary is really not great. I knew they had a rookie corner, and so AJ Brown I took for a big game last week in the bets. And the AJ Brown stuff hit because I was thinking same way I think when the Giants play, like rookie corners. I mean, a great receiver is going to be able to eat against a rookie corner. Now, I didn't think that would apply tonight because I know Justin's going to want to force the ball to DJ. Everybody wants him to. But I was just like, he's not going to have time. They're going to pressure. Look, the pressure has been in his face against, like, I wouldn't even say bad because the Bucks, I think, have a good front. The Chiefs have a good front. The Packers have a really good front. But I don't think none of them is top caliber as this D-line. And so I thought it was going to be a bloodbath. And the fact that the offensive line held up, hats off to them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But at the end of the day, Justin Fields had time. And so when I say people are not going to like what my analysis, it's because who you play matters. Like everything. I spend so much time arguing the details, and it's very clear to me the old saying is powerful: winning cures everything. And I said that because I'm watching the Lions run similar stuff. I've watched the Chiefs for years now on all 22 film. They run hitches a lot, and you wonder why Matt Nagy was doing it. And everybody's like, well, he doesn't know anything. But, bro, like, all these teams run this similar stuff, the run game especially. I ain't saying every team's an exact copycat, but a lot of the stuff people are drilling Getsy for calling, like play design wise, and me too. I don't like them, even though it's ran a lot in the league. I don't like them, but it's not him making something stupid up. It's something that's ran around the league. So when you talk about run versus pass, when you talk about play design, when you talk about targeting somebody, when you talk about getting a quarterback on the move, none of that matters once you win. And none of that matters if you can't protect on the offensive line. The exact opposite of why we play so well on defense. Like, you hear the announcers, man, the Bears only had 2 sacks, and I've been talking to you about that too. And they were like, they don't get no pressure, and And so they're like, how in the world? Like, it's crazy to see this tonight. Why do you think the Bears got pressure tonight? Why do you think the Bears got sacks tonight? Why do you think the defense played better? Everybody, I heard a couple people, not even heard, on Twitter. I saw a couple people basically saying like we had a worse defense all this. And I had responded that that's false. This defense is objectively better than last year. We have way more talent this year than last year. And people were saying we're worse than last year. My bad. That was the comment. A lot of people were saying we're worse on defense this year. I'm like, if you're just looking at the numbers, sure, you might have an argument. But when you watch the game, as I said, every team has taken, if you listen to me, what did I say? Every offense has taken advantage of our aggression. Edmonds, Edwards, everybody, the D-line, Billings, Ngakoue, everybody get us upfield. And I told you, you would rather have that than not, because a team that schemes well to take advantage of that early, they're going to do well. And that's fine. But a team like Washington tonight, and no disrespect to Eric Bieniemy, who everybody wants to be our coach, the offensive game plan did not follow. What did I say last week? Sean Payton, we'll see if he's a smart coach. Is his ego going to be in the way? Because there's a blueprint laid out of how to beat the Bears defense. And then they played to it early on, scored a touchdown. Then they went kind of vanilla and we ate it up. Then they had to punt and they kind of got behind. But then the rest of the game, they got back to it. This game, Washington was pure vanilla. Little motion, little misdirection, a lot of straight up in the box run. And I told you last week, if the Broncos run in the box, we're going to do well. You look at the Washington Commanders. They ran in the box, we did well. They didn't do much until the second half. And so we did well on defense. And look, like I said, the offensive line held up so well versus the Eagles that I did not expect us to do this to them. I didn't think they were great, but I did think, for a while, Washington's been a solid unit, especially run blocking. But the only thing that, I wouldn't say the biggest thing that matters in what happened tonight is pretty simple. The offensive line protected against that D line, and their secondary and linebackers were very below average compared to the D line. And on defense, Sam Howell is a young quarterback that don't know what he's doing. I mean, that's what it is. I was never on the Sam Howell train in terms of like him being a guy and all that. Like, yeah, I think he could start, could play. I even said in my evaluations, like Sam Howell to me had the best chance out of that group of quarterbacks to besides Pickett to really do something. And he came out so far this year and he's letting it ride. I mean, he's very much like Baker. Like I said, Baker don't run like him. He's much bigger and faster, but they're very much similar. And you see Baker with a team. He's letting it ride, and so is Sam Howell. But tonight, you really saw, and I've told you, even with backups, our secondary has been very good, very solid. We had a couple blown coverages. That was the first time I saw it this week. But even still, we were very solid throughout this year, and so we were solid tonight. And even without immediate pressure, you could see that Sam Howell, when the pocket felt a little uncomfortable, he wanted to move, he wanted to run, he couldn't see downfield, he couldn't see. And I'm not watching the all 22, obviously, tonight, so maybe none was open. But it looked just like Trubisky. It looked like Fields. It looked like every young quarterback that dealing with pressure. And it wasn't even a lot of pressure. It's just like he bailed on stuff pretty quickly. And I think he got more into a rhythm the second half. But the first half, he was bailing on stuff. And I'm telling you, Sam Howell single-handedly kept us in the game. I wouldn't say single-handedly, but single-handedly on defense kept us in the game. Offensive-wise, there's other conversation. We did well. We executed. But defensive-wise, I think had that been somebody else, it would have been more of a shootout. But Sam Howell is just a young quarterback, and he gave us a lot of easy stuff and made the D-line look better. But shout out to them. I mean, like I said, we've been doing pressure. We've been doing stunts and games. And I told you, it's not going to click right away. Like, if you're not a blitz. So Steve Spagnuolo, one that, with the Chiefs that people know a lot, big blitzer. That stuff's done every single day, multiple times a day from the off season till now. Eberflus, a 4-rush and play coverage guy, they're not blitzing periods every single day as much as a blitzing team. So now that they decided we're going to be a blitzing team, now they're adding it, and it's going to take time, but it's going to get better. And so, I got to watch the film. I'm not saying we blitzed every time, but it's just that we got more comfortable into what we're doing because the secondary has been doing well. And that's the thing, I don't know actually what Eberflus' background, but I know Alan Williams was the secondary coach for him. And the secondary has always played pretty solid and disciplined. Like, like I said, with Mike Evans, there's one-on-one matchups you'll lose. There's penalties that'll happen. But in terms of like just the secondary knowing what they're doing, not blowing coverages, we've been great this year. For as much injuries as we had, we've been great. And we played really solid this year or tonight. But overall, man, Sam Howell's just a young quarterback. So, it's the thing that happens when we are losing and I, point out certain things. People call me whatever they want to call me. And then when we're winning and I point out certain things, people want to call me a hater. But it's the truth of the matter. Who you play matters. And tonight, Sam Howell was the difference. Offensive line, well, let me get into that a little bit. So the offensive line, Tevin Jenkins came in, didn't start. I already said from the beginning, Lucas Patrick wasn't great to me. Everybody tried to pump him up, whatever. He's been terrible. And so, from what I remember, Jenkins came in for Whitehair. I don't know why. I really don't know if they were rotating him, but I guess it's the same coaching staff that did that last year. I just think that's ridiculous. But Jenkins comes in and he's doing great. Then you have Patrick have a concussion protocol. Whitehair comes in and it looks good. I mean, but that's the start. Like they were like they got a backup left guard. No, they don't. Jenkins was the starting left guard this whole time. And I don't know what issues are going on with him and the team, but look, I told you last year, Jenkins, I think, could be a right tackle, and I definitely think he's a all-pro caliber guard. The physicality he brings in the run game alone, but also his strength in the pass game. Whitehair is a natural fit at center. It all looked good. It all looked good. And so, but even if those guys were starting all year, and it looked good all year, I would still take the Commanders' D-line against them to kill them. It is what it is, especially when we have Borum, the backup left tackle, who's the opposite of Braxton Jones. He has no quick feet. And so, again, for my own peer D-line evaluation, I feel like the way they attacked it was so stupid. It just didn't make sense. But I got to give credit to the offensive line for doing their job. I mean, another thing I'll point out, which I said in the community, we brought in Mercedes Lewis a lot more. And one of the things with Mercedes Lewis, you'll have a lot of teams that run 2-man, 3-man routes. And teams with young quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks they don't trust or offensive line issues, they don't do that. That's not what you see a lot. And I'm gonna say we did a lot, but we did it more times than I ever seen, and that's fine because look, what will happen is you bring in a guy like Mercedes Lewis, and you want to help on the edge with Montez Sweat or Chase Young. Okay, you bring them in. You got 5 guys besides the quarterback to run a route. So you bring in him to block, that's 4 guys. If you play action lead a running back to help, that's 3 guys. That's only 3 routes. Now if you let both tight ends and the running back block, you only got 2 routes. But it works. That's not my thing. I get it. Natural thought is put as many routes as you want, and that gives the receivers put as many routes as you can, 5. That gives the quarterback more options and to make a decision, but that's more decision for him to think about. That's more, pressure on the offensive line to block. But if you block 6-man, 7-man protection, even if you got a couple routes, the quarterback has less information to think about. And now, if you were a sophisticated defense where you could get to a point, like I'm thinking if I was a coordinator and I knew, obviously then you would try to double up on each route, but you don't know. You don't know if those tight ends going to go on the routes or not, especially in today's game. And so because you don't know, they can't double up. And by the time you play action and show that it's only 2 routes, it could be one-on-one. And you can win big on those. So we did a little bit of that. And it was a little more creativity. It's been like that each week. But that's the thing. If you think about the Packers boat racing us or the Chiefs, you get one-dimensional. That is why that is why I've always said the run passing league is a false narrative. The run game going away is a false narrative because being one-dimensional makes you a worse team. And I say that because if you get to a point where you're down and you have to pass, it's harder. And when we know you can't pass protect, it's harder. That's when you see screens 2-3 times in a row. But when you're up and when you're doing all these things, now you can add a lot of other things into it that you weren't doing before. The 2-man routes, it's a 7-man protection, the jet sweeps, the misdirection. And so I say that to say Gatsby didn't wake up and be like, oh crap, I know how to do this now. You were in a different situation all these games than you were Broncos and Commanders. Who you play matters. Don't get me wrong. We're not doing this against the Cowboys or anything. But who you play matters, but the game flow changes what you can do. And that's the thing that upsets me. Let's say we just never got in a game like today or last week where we were up and we were playing a team that allowed us to showcase our abilities. Because that's what it is. If we never played a team that will allow us to showcase our abilities, people are going to say everything under the sun about Gatsby and Eberflus, Justin Fields, O-line, everybody. But because we had games where you can showcase your ability, now everybody changes their mind. And that's why I think my evaluation and other people like me are valuable, because we could project. This is what I always say. We can project. People who live week to week, play to play, they get on sports media and talk about, well, obviously the Bills are better because they dominated the Dolphins. You just said last week the Dolphins going to win the Super Bowl. Well, we got new information. No, anybody can get on sports media and tell you what just happened. That ain't no analysis. That ain't projection. Projection is looking at what things matter to have success. And so when I say what we are as the Bears versus what the Broncos are can equal us winning this game or being close, that's because I understand both sides and what's actually happening. That's not me waiting to watch the game and say, oh yeah, we were, yeah. No, that's not me looking at stats and saying, oh yeah, no. No, that's understanding what each team has as a roster. And so the Commanders, again, I gave it too much credit and not enough study to the D-line and to some extent the O-line. But the D-line did not carry the game for them, and everybody else got torched. And then defensively, the offensive line did not hold up for them, and Sam Howell was who he was, a young quarterback. So all that to say, when people are making these decisions about coaches and what is what and what is fact, is not always true, especially 4 weeks in. Now, even if we had a murderer's row schedule and you had 17 games, I would still have to say, yeah, who we play matters. But 17 games and we never did nothing, that would say something to me. But 4 games in, everybody's talking about firing people. It's just wild to me. So I'm curious to what all those people who are posting Caleb Williams film and talking about who we should pick with the number 1 and 2 picks. I'm curious what they got to say. I'm curious what all the people hopefully fire this clown Eberflus and Gatsby. I'm curious what they got to say. For all the Fields haters, I'm curious what they got to say. And I got some thoughts, but I ain't gonna do it here. I'll add in another video since we got extra time before our game. But I'm gonna add another video in terms of our future. I wish I kind of did it before this game because the comments would have been telling, but that's fine. I'm going to do it after this game. But my feelings haven't changed. You just got to trust that. So we'll talk about what the future of it looks like because winning cures everything. We won tonight. We look good. I'm so curious what everybody got to say. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.